Alright, so today's notes is arithmetic series. And before we did sequences, and they would be, for example, 2, 6, 10, 14, 18. Guys, it's just a list, and it's called a sequence. But if you put a plus in the middle of each term, they call this a series. That's the only difference. And then the other thing is there's a formula that will find you the sum of just a little bit of your series. Like if you want to find the sum of something, you actually can. There's a formula that will say, hey, find me the sum of, like, I don't know, the 5th through the 20th term. It's kind of cool. And let me give you the formula. Formula for the sum of an arithmetic series. And they'll call it S sub n, right? S for sum, it's easy, equals, okay, remember you have to memorize this, so think about it. So to find the sum, you take however many term numbers you're looking for, so n, times actually your first term plus your last term, all divided by 2. That will find you the sum. So that's an important formula. We're going to use it a lot today. Now that's one way to find a sum. Now there's another way that they represent it. It's kind of weird. It's called the sigma notation. Use it quite a bit in calculus and even in pre-cal. So it's good to kind of recognize it before you get there, right? And sigma notation kind of looks like a backwards or a sideways M. Be able to recognize the M kind of turn on its side. And if you want to get super fancy, you put these little marks there, but they're not necessary. And it looks like this. They'll start down here and say, okay, I want 2 through, and they'll put a number at the top also, 7. What they're meaning by that is they want the second term all the way through what? What term number do you think they want at the end? Right, the second through the 7th term. And that weird, this notation right here, guys, just means sum. So I want the sum of the 2nd through the 7th term. That's what it means. But there's no rule, right? So the next thing you'll see on the side is actually the rule. They'll put the rule in there for you. In other words, they want the 2nd through the 7th term of this series right here. How could I find the 2nd term? What would I need to do to find the 2nd term? Oh, come on. Everybody knows? Yeah, plug 2 in for x. If you want the 2nd term, plug in 2. If I want the 5th term, I'm plug in 5, right? So, because n means term number, doesn't it? Or in this case, they're using x, but. So if I want the sum, that's what sigma notation stands for, of the 2nd through the 7th term. So I'm going to put in 2, and you don't actually have to write this every time, but these are notes, so it's always good to include it. So I plugged 2 in for x, right? So 6 minus 1 is how much? 5. And it's a sum. So we've got to add them all together. Plus, that's the 2nd term. How do you think I would find the 3rd term? What would I need to plug in? What? That's the 2nd term. 3. Sorry. It's okay. I'm going to plug 3 in for the 3rd term. Okay, and you get 8. So for the 4th term, I would plug in 4. And you get what? 11. Do y'all see a pattern? If it's linear, there will be a pattern. Okay, what's the pattern every time? Going up by 3. You can keep going if you want, but it's going up by 3 every time. But I want 2 through 7 spots, so watch me for a second. That's the 2nd term, 3rd, 4th, right? This would be the 5th, 6th, and then 7th. Do y'all see what I'm saying? That would be term 2 through term 7. And you could check, if I plug 7 in, 3 times 7 is 21, 21 minus 1 is 20, so I'm good, that's my last term. Now, this sigma notation means the sum. So even though I wrote all my answers down, which by the way is required to get credit, that's not actually the full answer. How do I find the answer? Good, add them all together. Excellent. So add them up. Did y'all get 75? Because y'all are smart. Good job. Yeah, you just add them up, okay? So let me go back and reiterate what that weird symbol means. Okay, listen to me, because the more times you see it and hear it, the more you'll remember it, right? So this is called a sigma notation. And it's saying, hey guys, what's the sum of this rule, the 2nd through the 7th term number? So you can plug in 2 through 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and add them all together. That's all it's asking for, okay? Right now, here's another problem. Let's move on. We'll do sigma notation kind of off and on through the whole today. Find S sub n for each arithmetic series. Number 1. I'm going to tell you the first term is 7, the nth term is 79, and n is 8. So that's what we know. Okay, find the sum. Now remember, hopefully the more you can train yourself to not look on the board for the formula or in your notes, the better, right? Because you won't have them on the test. So if I want this sum, I know my first term is 7, I know my nth term is 79, and I know there are 8 terms, right? So technically what I'm actually saying here is that this is what term number, guys? This is the 8th term, right? Okay. So to find the sum, the formula says sum of 8 terms equals, and you can look if you need to, but you take 8 times your first term plus your last term, and then you divide it by 2. So if you do the calculator, you should get 344, right? You got it? Okay, good. Let's try number 2. A sub 1 is 7, D equals -2, and N equals 9. They are not all this easy. They change up, okay? But we're going to obviously start with something pretty simple. How many terms are there this time? 9. Thank you. There's 9. The formula says if I want to find the sum of all 9 terms, so the sum of 9, my rule is start with how many there are. There are 9 terms, times your first term, which is 7, okay, plus your last term. Do we know the last term? No, we don't know it. Okay, so can we find it? Can we use Friday's formula to find? Think about Friday's formula. Friday's formula says, okay, if you'll think about what it said that A sub n, your nth term, your last term is your first term plus n minus 1 times your common difference. That's the formula from Friday, right? Okay, and the problem is I don't know my 9th term. I know it starts at 7. I know we're counting by -2. I just don't know what the 9th term is. I know there's 9 terms. Okay, so I need to find the 9th term. Isn't that what I need? I need A sub n, right? So I'm looking for A sub 9, the 9th term, and it equals 7 plus how many jumps? You're going to start at 7. How many jumps are you going to make? N minus 1, right? We always say n minus 1, so 8. 8 jumps at how many per jump? -2. So what is your 9th term? Do it. I got -9, right? It's -9. So A sub 9 is -9. So finish plugging this in. Divided by 2. And the sum of your 9 terms added all together, weirdly enough, is how much? Again, -9. Okay, let's try another one. Number 3. If I tell you, remember the directions are the same, find the sum. D is -3/4, N is 17, and A sub N is 38. Remember, sometimes you have to use the A sub N formula first. Okay, in order to find the sum, I need A sub 1, A sub N, and N. What's missing there? What do I not have? A sub 1, I don't have the first term. Okay? So we need to use Friday's formula, the A sub N formula, right, the nth term formula. Let's use Friday's formula to find A sub 1. All right, let's try it. So in Friday's formula, the formula says that our nth term, our last term, 38, equals our first term, which we do not know, plus, the formula says n minus 1, so we're going to put there. 16 times our common difference, which is a fraction, -3/4. We haven't really been asked to find A sub 1 too often, but there it is. So you should do 16 times -3/4. You get -12, right? So A sub 1 is 50. So we can add that to the list. Your first term is 50. Now can you find the sum? What do you need to find the sum? N first and last, right? N first and last. That's all you need to find the sum. So N is 17. So the sum of my 17 terms is 17 times 50 plus 38 divided by what? 2. So the sum of the 17 terms is how much? 748. Are you guys understanding this? Or do you want me to do another one like that? You have to talk to me. More, either way? Okay, I'll come around to another one. Okay, here's one that looks a tiny bit different. It's the same idea though. Same directions. Find the sum of the arithmetic series Find the sum of the arithmetic series. Okay, what's the formula to find the sum? In first and last, correct? In first and last. Do we have the first? Sure. What's the first, guys? 6. What's the last? Do we have the last? Do we have n?
No.
No, I know the last term is 97. I don't know what term number it is. I don't know if it's the 20th, the 50th, the 15th. You see what I mean? I know my last term is 97. I just don't know what term number it is. And for the rule for the sum, you have to know the term numbers. You have to know how many you're adding. Right? So it's not going to work. Okay? So what you have to find first is what? N, right? Find n. And to find n, we have to use the A sub n formula. Okay, so the A sub n formula starts with 97. So 97 equals 6 plus n minus 1 times the common difference. We know it's arithmetic, so we know it's got a jump of a common difference. We're going to study geometric next, right? They're different. Arithmetic has a common jump of adding and subtracting. Okay, it tells us it's arithmetic, so we automatically know that. So to find it, you're going to take D equals 13 minus 6. So what's my common jump?
7.
So times 7. So use your algebra skills and find n. Okay, now once I have found n, what am I going to do next? Take n and what? Now I'm going to use, what was the actual directions? Anybody remember? To actually find the what? Sum. Okay, so the summation formula says S and is 14. So sum of the 14 terms I'm looking for is 14 times 6 plus 97 divided by 2. So the sum of the 14 terms I need is 721. Okay, number 5. Let's try it. 34, 30 plus 26. Notice how these have pluses in the middle instead of commas? Okay, that's the only difference from yesterday, or Friday and today. That's why this is called a series instead of a sequence. It's just the way it's represented. Okay, and the directions are the same. Find the sum. So let's list what we know. Okay, we know that this is a sub 1. This is a sub n. What are we going to find first? The n. So to find n, we start with our last term. 2 equals 34 plus n minus 1 times your common difference. You're going this way. So d equals 30 minus 34. So d is actually negative. I got 9. Now you find the sum. The rule is the sum of the 9 terms equals 9 times 34 plus 2, all divided by 2. So the sum of your 9 terms was 162. Agreed? Okay, now we're going to do back to kind of the problems we were talking about before. N equals 1 to 6. 2n plus 11. This is called summation notation, right? That's what it's called. So I'm looking for the sum of the first through the which term number, guys? All the way to what? 6, right? Well, terms 1 through 6 of this rule. Okay, so you're going to plug in 1, plug in 2, plug in 3, right? Plug them all in. Okay, so if we do that, if I plug in 1, it's going to be 2 times 1 plus 11, which will give us, good, 13. Plus, plug in 2, which gives us 15. Is there a pattern? Plug in 3 to get 19. I'm sorry, 17. Now I want to plug in 1 through 6. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You have to have them all written down, all 6. You do not have to show your work though, that's just notes. But you have to have all the numbers. Now what are you going to do with the numbers? Good, add them all together. So the sum of the numbers 1 through 6 of that is how much? What do you get? 108, good. Okay, try another one like it. K equals 7 through 11, and the rule this time is 42 minus 9k. 42 minus 9k. And I want the sum of 7 through 11. So you're going to input 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Just 5 terms. When you plug in 7, you're going to take 42 minus 9 times 7, which gives you negative 21. You get negative 30 and so forth. And I got negative 195 as my total. Right? Okay, so it's easy, isn't it? Right, we have 2 last problems and we're finished. It's another type. Okay, so let's change our directions. The directions are going to say find the first 3 terms. Find the first 3 terms, that's the directions. And here we go, I'm ready. A1 is 17, AN is 197, and the sum of those numbers is 2247. Okay. I want to find the first 3 terms. Well, I already know the first term, it's 17, correct? But how do I get to the next term? What would I need? What letter would I need, guys? Or what? D. I would need D. So if we go back to the formula from Friday, the formula is AN equals A1 plus N minus 1 times D. That's the formula. If I need D in this formula, I can only have one variable missing. Well, yes, I've got AN, I've got A1, but what's missing out of this formula? Not only is D missing, something else is missing. N. I know, I don't know how many terms there are. I know the first is 17 and I know the last is 197, but I don't know what term number that is. Is it the 10th, the 50th? I don't know. Okay? And in order to find the first 3 terms, I know the first answer is 17. It's going to be 17, comma, something, something, right? But I can't find the other 2 without D. I can't use this formula because I have got 2 variables. So instead, let's use our summation formula, because watch what happens with that one. The summation formula says you take the sum, 2247, equals, right, 'cause it equals what? N. Do we have N? No. Times A1 plus A sub N divided by 2. What is that going to give me? What variable will that give me? N. And once I have N, can I use it to go in here and find D? Absolutely. So multiply both by 2, and you get 4494 equals, I'm going to add these together, so 214N. Divide both sides by 214, and N is 21. Now I'm closer anyways. I can go up here and say, all right, I now know N is 21. Now I think I'll have enough information to use this formula here, this one, okay, Friday's formula, to find the answer. Because I need D, because I'm looking for the first 3 terms, right? So let's try it. So now you can say, okay, 197 equals 17 plus 20 times D. That came from N minus 1. Well, I don't know D instead. So move the 17 over and divide by 20. What's your common difference? 9, right? So you're going to make a jump of 9 every time. So 26 and 35 are your first 3 terms. It takes a little problem solving, but it's not hard. Do you need one more like that?
Sure.
Okay. like last problem. Same directions. Find the first three terms. Okay, do I even have the first term? No. Do I know the D? No. I'm missing a bunch. Okay, I'm missing the first term and D. So I know that Friday's formula is not gonna help me out. The A sub n formula is not gonna help. Okay? I also know that in order to do this, in order to find it, I need A1 and I need D. I have to have both of those things. Okay? So let's start then with where? Where should we start? Let's start with the summation formula. So I know 1023 equals your n, which is 31, times A1 plus, I know AN is 78, divided by 2. And that will give me A1 at least. And then when I get A1, we'll move on from there. Multiply both sides by 2, so you get 2046 equals, and I'm going to have to distribute this, 31A1 plus 2148. So you're going to subtract and divide to get A1. Subtract and then divide. And A sub 1 gives me -12. And you can go back up to the original formula and write -12.
That's wrong, it's 241, 2018.
Oh, thank you, I flipped it. This should be 2418, I flipped it, I'm sorry. Okay. I went ahead and put this A12 back up here. So now I've got N, A sub N, A1, what's missing now? Just D. Can I use Friday's A sub N formula to find D? Yeah, if you got the first and last, you're good. So let's use that to find D. So 78 equals -12 plus 31 minus 1 is 30, D. Move your 12 over and divide by 30. So what's D, guys? 3. So your first answer was -12. Add 3 to give you -9, and add 3 more to give you -6. There's your first three terms. Okay, you're done, you can start your homework.